Eskilstuna. Thank you, Helena.
Thank you, Colm. Good evening, good afternoon to everybody. It is a deep joy and a pleasure to see all of you. Many of you I know, we have met before, and I feel it's very good for me to see all of you, because I also feel that I am not alone on this synodal journey, which sometimes has really very lonely moments and moments of total like I feel discouraged or no more perspective how to continue. But if I see people around me, like your group of VR Church, I feel we are together on this challenging journey. Yes, thank you for introducing me, and I'm also very happy to see that one of the participants is Cynthia from the US, who is also a Synod member. What an honor! She's also here. Thank you, Cynthia, for being here. Yeah, many of you have, of course, we have met. I have talked about the Synod from when I came back after last October, and in many occasions I had the chance to speak. I'm actually at the moment, sometimes I have the feeling that we are not progressing in big steps, huh? But I will just tell you again and again, or tell you where I am at the moment, how I see the process, and what I still think is very important. Definitely, especially when there are moments like Pope Francis answers in interviews, sometimes very spontaneous. I feel, my goodness, where are we here, and how should I continue with my task in the Synod? I try to remember that I'm there as one of the 10 European so-called lay delegates, non-bishop members, but also representing many groups of women, young people, their concerns for our church today. I think that the church, with the synodal process, has started something, a participatory process that has not been there before, and in which fundamental questions about the future of the church are being discussed at all the levels: grassroots, dioceses, bishops' conferences, and at continental and world universal church level. The World Synod in Rome last October was the place where we tried to draw conclusions from the processes and the proposals we got from the entire universal church. Why should critical people are asking me, why are you continuing? There is probably no hope that something will change in this hierarchical Catholic Church. But I'm just trying to also reflect anytime I have doubts that actually there's currently now no other place, I think, no other way of influencing the decisions of the universal church than in these moments of this opportunity of a bishop synod, where for the first time there are also lay members, and 54 women for the first time in church history having the right to vote. Still many important decisions are taken in Rome, let's say, position of the women in the church, the understanding of ministry, and the conditions for access to those, in culturalization and decentralization of the church teaching on sexual morality, the inclusion of all people. These are issues that have to be discussed at the universal, at the level of a bishop synod. Some of you might know that I had the chance to be not inside the synod for the Amazonia Synod, but outside, as in a kind of back office for the members of the synod, actually partners of Fastenaktion, our Catholic development organization. And the Amazonia Synod gave me this, it was an eye-opener for me, that the church can actually be, I don't know, the church can be lived, or processes in the church can be developed in very interesting processes. It was in 2019 that for the first time in my life, I think, I realized what it means to be a synodal church. I see what it means to have a synodal process. It was when I saw how the Amazonia Synod was prepared, how the documents were elaborated, coming also from huge processes with thousands of people in the Amazonia region. And I would not have expected that Pope Francis will risk or will encourage the entire church to do such a kind of process. And here we are in midst of a very challenging process, but I think at a very interesting historical moment where I can also feel that we can really help to develop things. We can influence processes, at least at a limited size, but we can. The synod as a process is not something that is just, like a slogan. I experienced it also last October. It's really something, it's really true. The synod members can help to develop the process, and sometimes we saw that during last October also, we are not aware of that we should speak out, that we should intervene, that we should protest if we don't like the points of the agenda, how it will develop. And the same, I think, coming to the situation now, I have the impression that many of the synod members are active in their like diocesan processes, but at the level of the bishop synod, the preparation of the synod in October, I don't see a lot of activity except in Latin America. I can tell you, I'm from Switzerland. I was one of those who pushed for a European preparatory meeting, because the CCEE, the European Bishops' Conference, discussed whether it is needed to have a preparatory meeting for the synod in October, and decided no, they would not organize it. Okay, so there were some experts and synod members who said, no, we cannot do that. We will just do it ourselves. We will organize it. And And but there will now be a meeting at the end of August in Linz, organized by some theological experts, and CCE in the meantime is supporting the meeting, how do you say that? Endorsing, and a number of bishops will also be there. But this is just to tell you why I sometimes have the impression that Synod members are passive in the preparation for October. And yeah, when certain decisions were taken, like for example the creation of the 10 commissions, and we got the impression that topics were like taken out of the synodal process, meaning discussed in a special commission outside of the Synod assembly. And especially the tricky thing with the work of the commissions that were created is that their work will last longer than October. They will finish, it was said, their work by the end of June 2025, which means after the second synodal assembly. And that is, for me, is a critical challenge. It's really challenging because it somehow doesn't respect the synodal process, which said the synod members will come with their reports from regions and countries, will bring them into the assembly, and will bring back the results to the countries, like what we did here. You know, we reported when we came back, and we discussed the synthesis report. We made a feedback report also, which was sent to the Synod office again in last May. And you can imagine that the content of the feedback reports, of course, they repeated the topics that were there before, like, for example, the topic of the role of the women. So what if this topic is being given to a commission and will not be discussed at the Synod assembly? It's really a problem. So at the moment there are discussions going on, but the Synod members, we did not get official information that there will be a different procedure. It is still, the information is still what you also got through the information of the Synod office. The commission, there will be 10 commissions. We don't know whether they are working already or not. We don't know the composition of the commissions. But I was in touch with several Synod members, and several, I think, approached the Synod office and asked to explain, but it has not yet happened, you know. But definitely here there is a need to explain how this synodal process will be will go on, because in a way it would be logical, that's my view, that there will be a third assembly. But until now, the Synod office has denied, or has said no, that there will not be, it will be the end in October 24, but definitely that's not a really satisfying thing, you know. And the fact that the most important topic here in Switzerland is the role of the women. It's really the key question for the future of the Catholic Church here. Made the people here really kind of angry. I mean, what now with this synodal process, where we have been consulting people, writing reports, sending them to Rome. And now the topics are given to a commission. And we don't know what the procedure will be, what Pope Francis will do with the results and everything. So definitely there is a need there to clarify what will happen to these 10 topics given to the commissions. Maybe I can also tell you what in Switzerland, we in the meantime, we had an interesting development, which is a little bit into the direction of similar to the German synodal path. Already quite early in the synodal process, the question of a synodal structure was raised, because it's definitely not participatory enough for Swiss people who are used to democratic decisions and structures, that we have at the national level just the bishops' conference deciding on the important pastoral concerns. Fortunately, in some parts of Switzerland, we have a second structure, which is like a democratic structure. It is the bodies that decide on the money and the infrastructure of the Catholic Church in the cantons. Especially, mainly in the German-speaking cantons of Switzerland, we have a dual structure, pastoral and administration. And administration is like, you can compare it to a governing body of a canton. It's the same for the Catholic Church. And you can already hear that in these cantons, in the Catholic Church, we are used that there has to be a negotiation between the pastoral side and the side of the lay people who are actually deciding on what is happening to their church tax that they are paying and the money of the Catholic Church. So there is already a participatory aspect there, but the church in Switzerland decided then that we have to start to develop a structure which is fully participatory and which would be like complementing or enlarge the bishops' conference. This is still very open, but there is a decision now. There is a synodality commission that will start to work in October, and it is comparable to what is the body in Germany? Now I forgot, sorry. The
Synodal Council.
Exactly. There is still a long way to go, because at first we were fast, but then when it came to like the statuten, of the commission, the detailed description of the tasks and the decision that this body can take, of course, the Bishops' Conference had a say. And last December, they postponed the decision. So you can feel that the clerical structure, of course, is holding back, and trying to slow down the process. But there was a big pressure then to develop it further. And we are now at the point that we can start with the work of the commission in October. It will be very interesting, I think, because that's, I think, the way the church can look in the future in Switzerland. It will be very credible, more credible than now with our 7 bishops and 2 abbots that are deciding on the pastoral questions. Actually, credibility is one of the words that I always use, because I'm, as you heard when Colm introduced me, I'm into development work. I'm into human rights work as a Catholic, and in a Catholic institution, as the Catholic networks all over the world are the strongest networks for fighting for human rights. So you can imagine that, for example, me, I work for the Philippines. We are bringing partners to the Human Rights Council in Geneva. People from the Philippines who have to go to the Human Rights Council to claim, that or to tell this body that their rights are not being respected. And the Catholic institutions have really a good reputation at the Human Rights Council. The congregations, the church organizations like Caritas, Manos Unidas, Fastenaktion. But of course, there is a point when the questions are also being raised towards us as Catholic institutions. But what about the role of the women in your own institution? What about inclusion? What about discrimination of certain groups in the Catholic Church? And I'm always saying we are not doing the synodal process just to have a nicer church. We are doing this process to have to be stronger and to be more credible in our mission for dignity and the rights of all people in the world. So credibility is one of my main arguments, why we have to really look at the aspect of the role of the women, inclusion of all people. Yeah, and this is also something that we saw in the reports that came to the Synod from all around the world. Now I see that in the meantime, since last October, for me, what became even more clear is that what we in the Swiss report, we called it decentralization of the Catholic Church, more regional decisions. It became even clearer to me, because certain questions, I'm sure we cannot resolve them in the universal church. We cannot resolve them. We shouldn't come to a decision, I think, in the Synod, because the reality looks very different from region to region, from continent to continent. An interesting, I told you, some of you before, an interesting question during the last Synod was the question of polygamy in Africa. Many African bishops raised this issue several times and asked whether we could discuss it during the Synod. And then during the discussion, they realized also that it isn't really a question for all the continents, right? All the continental churches. So in the synthesis report, it is written that the African Bishops' Conference has to find pastoral solutions for this question. So this was a good example that we need to deepen concerns and challenges of the Catholic Church in our regions where we are. I think this will be, because a kind of what we had until now, like, it's kind of one size fits all, right? It's impossible. It's blocking the development of the church in Latin America, in Europe, everywhere. what I also find very important now is that we continue to work at all levels, meaning try to continue to work for a synodal change in our dioceses, in our countries or bishops' conferences, as well as at the continental level, because the synod at the universal level lives from the experiences, and it will be a big help if we hear from the experiences that are already being, or the experiments that are being done, the synodal experiences help a lot to develop further and to reflect. I hope that with the feedback reports that were sent to Rome, there were also a lot of experiences, because the Synod office also asked that we send experiences to Rome, so that we can discuss it and learn from each other. In Switzerland, we have two experiences that we could contribute. One is the coordination of parishes by so-called lay, meaning married theologians, women and men, who are parish coordinators in Switzerland in some dioceses. And this is officially, allowed by the Swiss Bishops' Conference. There is a document of the Swiss Bishops' Conference. It's, I think, from 2005. So we have lay parish coordinators who get the permit to baptize, to assist weddings. Of course, they give the homily, and they are, the contact persons for there. It's a very, very good experience we have here, and I think this is also a very clear path towards. We have permanent deacons, of course, men, married men, but it's a very small step for us here. Almost, it has almost no significant added value if we have women deacons here, but still, from Switzerland we opt for a next step, that women can become deacons, because we think it will open the way to equality and access of women to all ministries. A second experience, I told you already about, that we reported to the Synod office, is that this dual system, the parties that parishes, and even also at the diocesan level or the cantonal level, the lay people have like a council, and they decide on the budget, on the money that the church has, and of course they don't do that without considering what the pastoral needs are, and of course they have to discuss the content of what the budget is used for, or the aim, So these are reflections on pastoral work, and the lay are participating at all levels, parish level, because a certain amount of money of the church tax is there, and then it goes to a regional and a national level. And the bishops cannot. Actually, the bishops in Switzerland don't really have a lot of money. Mainly, they cannot. Most important is they cannot decide on the budget by their own. It's very important, because it's also kind of sharing of the power, right, already. And that's a good experience we wanted to report for the Synod. Thank you very much. From my side, we could go to the questions and answers, because I'm also very interested to hear from you what you would like to contribute for Rome in October, whether you will come to Rome, what ideas you have that we should take up in preparation for the Synod. Thank you very much for sharing with me.
Thank you very much, Helena. A tremendous overview as to what's happened at the Synod and your hopes. Lots of very interesting ideas there. And what you do in Switzerland. My immediate reaction is Ireland is 20 years behind. Although we have an Irish National Synod going ahead here, our bishops are more likely to wait and see what happens in Rome and then see will they do anything here. There isn't the same move towards democratic and synodal structures there. I just remembered I must switch off the recording.